Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, HOA Yells at Me for Training Guide Dog and Grilling. Then loses position on board. To start the story, some background you need to know about me. I volunteered to train and raise service dogs. My fiancé says clearly, I have a look that says I am weak, and a pushover. I have constant encounters with Karens who are just not ready for my responses when they engage me. I have been in the military for 17 years when this happened, and I was responsible for managing over 130 service members. I am anything but a pushover. I work with civilians, so I have cultivated a polite exterior because I was counseled for looking unapproachable and scary to civilian counterparts. The story, as I said, I raise service animals, so I fall under the HOA when it comes to regulations on where and what I can do with my puppy. Well, call him OO, as an amazingly behaved black lab of 6 months. I have cultivated a level of trust and obedience where I can leave him in a sit with other dogs around. So long as I am in eyesight, he will stay. I have raised a few pups by then, and I would never have done that with them, but O is amazing and I can't wait to get him back after his tour of duty helping Mrs. C be independent. I meet the HOA Karen one Saturday. Me, my fiancé and O were going to head on a road trip to visit my fiancé's parents. In our preparation, the last on the list is always getting the kids to use the bathroom before a long trip. So, we head out. O gets busy and I grab a bag to clean it up. I put him in a sit stay and hand the leash to my girl. And I start walking to the trash can. It's about 100 feet from where he went. I have clear line of sight to the dog, and he is sitting pretty and alert and watching me intently for a hand cue or voice command. As I am walking, I hear a womanly screech. I don't quite make it out, but it sounds angry. I ignore it and keep walking to the dumpster, deposit my waste bag and turn around to head back to my 2 favorite people. It is then I make eye contact with the HOA Karen from here on out. She is your typical Karen, not an inch over 5 foot, and has the same circumference. The short, chopped hair that says I'm the manager now. She looks me in the eyes, and I finally listen to her shrill scream of, "Your dog must be on a leash and in your hand. My county state law says so. I will call the cops." Now I don't do ignorant, and respect given is respect earned. I was willing to try and de-escalate. My fiancé owns the condo and is super non-confrontational. So for her, I try to bring it back down to civil levels of discussion. In a polite but firm voice, I asked if she even looked over at the dog before she started yelling at me. She just bellows like a banshee again. I repeat. This back and forth happens 3 or 4 times, me calm her, escalating in pitch and volume. At this point, she hasn't given respect, so none is required to be given back. I break out my "You done sucked up NCO" to junior voice. It is loud, firm, and clearly states I'm done with your bullshit, lady. I clearly tell her if she would have taken 2 seconds to look, she would see the dog is sitting on a leash in someone's hands. She stops bellowing at me, looks and turns a bit red in the face, then musters, "You could just say thank you." Which I curtly reply, "Shut the duck up and get out of my face." She waddled quickly off, tailed tucked into her condo door. My next meeting with her was when I was grilling. The HOA states no charcoal grills and no smoking, barbecue. I was born in the north, but as a military brat moved to the south since I was 2. There is a difference between BB-ching and grilling. Barbecue is 12+ hours with coals of hardwood or wood smoking. Grilling is cooking meat on a grill instead of the stove. The HOA put out a reminder: no BB-ching on the premises and no coals. So, I was like, awesome, get a small propane grill. It's not barbecue, but it's better than nothing. So, I was out grilling and I hear the banshee cry, all too familiar now. Again, she didn't come up to me and talk, she just started screaming. So, I looked her right in the eye and with the same firm voice, "Shut the duck up and go away. If you say one more word, I'll be the one calling the cops for harassment by an HOA member." She sputtered something about no grilling or open flames, and I told her duck off, show me in writing and by someone other than her. She waddled off, and then I was approached by the HOA president with the HOA bylaws and sat to read them. During which my fiancé started a conversation with them about another issue we were having with them. She was in the middle of having the state attorney's office ask some questions about activities they were trying to force her into paying for. It wasn't going well for the HOA and she took this opportunity to introduce herself. While she may be non-confrontational when it comes to small things, she will stand up for herself when it comes to it. Her introducing herself changed everyone's tone and they became oh so polite. Karen tried to play the victim to her and say I was mean and could use some manners when engaging with people. I love my soon-to-be wife, she let her paint her tale how she was a victim. When she finished, she looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You know I was the one holding the leash and I was standing right here when he was grilling. So, no, you got the same respect you gave." She paled and faded to the back. That's when the president of the HOA stepped in and told me I can't have the grill and that I can be fined, and I needed to follow the rules of the HOA or the next time hell be the one calling the cops. Well, Pres Roger that. It is my job to enforce regulations in the military. I spend hours reading instructions. Nothing pleases me more than when I can shove the black and white in an a-hole's face at work to get my guys what they are owed or to force them to do the job right. So, you want me to follow the rules? Copy that, buddy. So, I began my research. I found a few interesting things. 1. No HOA by law can be enforced if it is not the state database. 2. This particular HOA's bylaws were last updated 1994, it was 2016. 3. They state they follow my county's fire code, which follows NFPA. 4. Finally, they gave the exact latitude and long coordinates of the HOA's property lines. So, I get a login for the state's database and print the HOA's bylaws. I print the NFPA, which states in a multifamily home you can store propane tanks no bigger than 2.7 liters, but they can total no more than 5.4 liters cumulatively. I go to Lowe's, get a rope tape measurer and stakes. I pull up Google Maps and mark the HOA boundary line on it. Lo and behold, what do I find? A drainage ditch that is city property not 10 feet from where I was grilling. So, I take my coordinates, my stakes, and go carefully mark off the section of city property. Now for the revenge, I call the city, county fire departments and request a permit to grill on said city property. They said go for it. I didn't need a permit for it, no one would care. I insisted and they said it's my $50. They issued an event open flame. So with both permits it was $100, but I got permission from the city to grill there for 6 months. The next day at 7 o'clock I went to set up. I carefully measuring so I was at least 3 feet into the city property, set up my cooler with enough meat and beer to grill till doomsday. Then waited for the fireworks. It didn't take long for Karen to come screaming at me. I mean, I was 10 feet from the community pool and 3 feet from the sidewalk gazebo that led to the pool. I just hit record on my phone and politely told her she has no need to yell, and I am breaking no laws. She kept screaming about no grilling and how she is tired of me and she going to get me arrested and kicked out if it's the last thing she does. She hasn't liked me since she saw me and has just been waiting to get me kicked out. That now that she knows which condo is mine, it is just a matter of time till she finds something. On and on. I guess me polite and showing zero fear was pissing her off. She tried to come take my stuff. Big no. As she reached for my cooler, I broke out my NCO voice and told her if she so much as brush a finger against my property I would remove the offending body part with force if necessary. This sent her scurrying off again. About 20 minutes later I see 2 cop cars pull up, and Mr. HOA president himself. He is all chummy with the cops, and as they approach, I hear him say, "Yep, same guy. The first already told him once before he can't grill on the HOA grounds." He comes to a stop about 10 feet from me. 1 cop stays with him, the other keeps walking up to me. I have a shit-eating grin on my face. I can hardly wait for the conversation to happen. The cop is slightly off-put by my joyous face and slight giggle when I ask what seems to be the problem. Office. I get informed that I am in violation of the bylaws and have been warned once already, and I am going to receive a ticket for disturbing the peace for threatening the HOA when they were trying to enforce the rules, ticket for an illegal open flame, ticket for illegal storage of flammable substances, on and on. The last was if I didn't pack up, I would be arrested and removed. Now that he was done, I first handed him my permit from the city to grill. He took it, walked back to the president, and they discussed it for a moment, then returned. Says you can't get a permit from the city to grill on private property. I then showed him the coordinates for the HOA and the Google Maps gridded drawing and my current GPS location. Mind you, I am smiling, handing sheet after sheet to him, because the grid was not all on one sheet and had addendums. Took about 4 minutes to explain it to him. As I was about to hand him more, he held up a hand to stop me. He then asks how long I had planned this with a smirk. I told him about a week. He gave me a look of disbelief but moved on. He then asked me if I threatened Karen. I just played back the recording to him. At the end he said nothing seems out of place here, you are free to go. I stopped him and asked if I could file a complaint for HOA harassment through him. He said no, that the city clerk office is the correct place, but he would document harassment by the two of them and file the report for me. In my state it's illegal to be harassed by the HOA. It comes with jail of a few months, fines as high as $5,000 and immediate removal from the board and the possibility of recovery of damages. I settled for them both being removed from the board instead of filing a complaint. I waved to Karen every day I grill or showed her my leash if I had. The last story is titled, Drunk Karen Accuses My Front Waiter and I of Theft, Ends Up Embarrassing Herself. Back in 2014 I was a back waiter on a cruise ship in Hawaii. The ship was in port on the northern island of Kauai, and my front waiter, who we will call Phil, not his real name, and I were working the dinner shift in the main dining hall. It was a typical, steady evening until two ladies were seated in our section. One of the ladies, the Karen of the story, obviously had a little too much to drink, red in the face, drunk and giggling, you get the idea. During the dinner the two ladies were having a great time, smiling, laughing, enjoying themselves. They were actually quite pleasant to wait on. The two ladies finished their dinner and left without an incident happening. Phil and I continued working, but about 20 to 30 minutes later, the drunk Karen returns. She walks right up to me and says, "My purse is missing." I replied, "Well, no one has sat at the table you and your friend were at since you left, so let's go over there and see if you left your purse behind." I started looking around the table, and the drunk Karen shouts, "Don't look for my purse there." This startled me. After a moment of being a deer caught in the headlights I ask, "Ma'am, this was where you and your friend ate your dinner. If you don't want me to look for your purse here, where should I be looking?" Drunk Karen, "You and the other waiter took it and I want it back right now." Me, "Ma'am, we didn't take your purse. Is it possible that you might have left it in your cabin?" This pissed the drunk Karen off, and she snapped back. Drunk Karen, "How dare you ask me such a stupid question? I would know if I left my purse in my cabin. I know you two took it, and I want it back right now." With her screaming, anyone and everyone who could hear her were now looking at us. Phil rushes over to try and calm her down while I went to find the restaurant manager. I filled him in on what was going on, and while walking back towards Phil and the drunk Karen, I warned him. Me, "Whatever you do, do not ask her if she left her purse in her cabin." I did, and it only made her mad. The manager thanked me for the warning but told me he had to ask her that, as part of the line of questioning he had to do in this situation. Sure enough, the drunk Karen got even more pissed off when he asked her that question. So now we have a full-scale investigation on our hands. Our section had to be closed down. The passengers dining in our area were inconveniently moved to other sections of the restaurant, and the security team had to come in and question all of us. Drunk Karen got even more pissed off when the security team asked her if she left her purse in her cabin. After the questioning, the security team split up. Some went to look for DK's friend for additional questioning, while the rest went to look over the security footage. They told us this will take some time, as there are multiple cameras that overlapped our section, and they had to review not only the dinner, but the 20 to 30 minutes after the dinner when DK and her friend left the restaurant to when she returned to see if we stole the purse. But they assured her that if we did steal it, they will see it in the footage. So now it's just the restaurant manager, one security guard, drunk Karen, Phil and myself waiting around in our empty section for the security team to finish their investigation. The manager and security officer did a good job keeping DK calm for a while, but she eventually lost her patience and screamed. Drunk Karen, "Why is this taking so long? I know those two stole my purse, and I want it back right now. If you delay any longer, I will call the cops, have them come on board to arrest those two, and I will sue this cruise line." Upon hearing this, Phil had enough, and he started yelling back at drunk Karen. I pulled him off to the side to try and calm him down, but he gets upset at me and says, "Phil, how can you be so calm? That lady is threatening to call the cops and have us arrested. Aren't you the least bit worried that we could be going to jail?" Me, "Why should we be worried? We didn't steal her purse. The security team will verify this when they finish looking over the security footage. The purse will be found somewhere, and everything will be fine. So, we have nothing to worry about." This did little to no good calming Phil down, so I decided to change my tactics, and said in jest, Me. Think of it this way, we're both still on the clock. We're getting paid right now to stand around and do nothing while we wait for the security team to finish their investigation. Think of it like we're getting an extra paid break during what would otherwise be a standard, busy dinner shift. Phil did not find this amusing, and he yelled back. Phil. Why aren't you taking this seriously? We could be going to jail, and you are making jokes. Don't you have any pride? Where's your integrity? So, Phil's yelling at me, drunk Karen is yelling at us, Phil is yelling back at the DK, things were getting out of hand. Fortunately, a short while later DK's friend walks back into the restaurant with the missing purse. When asked where she found the purse, you've probably guessed it by now, it was in drunk Karen's cabin the whole time. I didn't think drunk Karen's face could get any redder from the booze she drank and from how angry she was, but she turned 3 shades of red darker from sheer embarrassment. She snatched the purse from her friend's hands and ran out of the restaurant. The friend tried to apologize on drunk Karen's behalf, but Phil rejected it. He yelled out. Phil. That lady came in here, accused us of stealing her purse, threatened to call the cops and have us arrested, yet when the purse was found she runs out of here without apologizing to us first. What a witch. The restaurant manager knew that emotionally Phil was in no condition to keep working, so he told him to clock off for the rest of the night to calm down, and that he can clock back in the next day once he's done so. The manager apologizes to me and asks if I could do the close-down procedure for our section on my own. I had no problem with this since when I was done, I would still be clocking off about an hour earlier than usual. As I was finishing up, the manager calls me into his office and says, Manager. I want to thank you for how you handled the situation earlier tonight. You were calm and collected while Phil lost his cool. Please don't think I was rewarding Phil by letting him off early for his bad behavior. You acted like the experienced front waiter while he acted like the immature back waiter. He wasn't in the right mindset to continue working tonight. And I promise in the next week or 2 I will find a night to give you off as a reward for how you responded to the situation. Drunk Karen never returned to the main dining hall to apologize in person, but she did write an apology letter which she had her friend deliver on her behalf. Phil was still pissed and wanted to tear up the letter in a horrible rage. This time I managed to calm him down, and convinced him to be the bigger man, and just accept the letter. It may not be the apology he wanted, but we are still receiving an apology in the end. Thank you for listening.